It's a good question. I'm just someone who likes to travel, make content, and try and improve people's lives. Mike was my best friend, and me and him travelled around the world for 3 years together. I was a videographer, he was the influencer.
You've said it's a year a day. How low did it actually get for you?
I was in Ibiza, stuck in a rut, partying every day. Every day, continuous, wake up, get drunk, go to a party, and repeat.
Mate, I'm gonna be honest, I thought you were an alcoholic. Do you know that?
No, I haven't really told many people this, but when I jumped off my balcony and I broke my heel, and they were like, you're never gonna be able to run again, never gonna be able to ski again, and I was like, I've really f***ed it there. Obviously I got myself into some debt. No one teaches you any of this shit. I got my American Express and they give me like 25 grand. And then I was just like, it, let's just have some fun.
Was it that bad? Did you never think about coming home?
So I ended up just falling deeper into the trap. I did what everyone least expected, which was I just went and partied even more.
So today we are joined by Louis Armstrong, the master of all digital nomads. How are you doing, mate?
The master. I'll take that. That was a good introduction. I'm very good, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you for asking, mate. Thank you for asking. I know I've been trying to get you on this podcast for a long time now, and it feels like you're never in the UK. And now that you are, I thought, why not jump at the chance? I know we went out for dinner the other night, and I knew that, obviously, even having that dinner, the conversations we all had as the lads, I thought there's definitely a conversation that can provide value with the listeners and viewers. But for people who don't know who you are, Louis, and I don't want to just ask you, like, what do you do? Obviously, you're big on YouTube. You've got a massive following on Instagram. You've created the Creator Club, which is a massive business, which I'm actually a part of as well, and a member at your community. And it's unbelievable. So I'll start by saying that. A lad from the Northeast, people will be able to tell from your accent, very similar accent to mine, although you're definitely not on Mackham. How did your journey begin, bro?
Good question. I'm also going to be trying to be conscious with how I speak on the podcast because, you know, Chris Williamson, he's learned how to articulate his words, and like he actually goes to classes, speech classes, and he's really kind of thoughtful about the way he speaks. And I once listened to a podcast that I had done before back of myself, and I noticed that I said and like a million times. I think it was actually Mike's podcast, and people commented saying, count how many times Louis says like. So I'm going to try my best to try and articulate my words a little bit better in this one. So how I describe myself, or what I do.
He said it straight away.
Oh, did I?
You did? I love it, bro.
So, it's a good question. I really don't know. I'm just someone who likes to travel, make content, and try and improve people's lives. I started making content when I was probably 25, 26. Got my first camera. Started watching Casey Neistat on YouTube. He's my kind of biggest role model. Casey Neistat, Christian Guzman, Steve Cook, and then obviously Mike Thurston, Rob Lipset. So I was watching these kind of influencers, YouTubers on YouTube before it had kind of blown up. And Casey Neistat at the time was posting a daily vlog for almost 3 years in a row. And for anyone that doesn't know what a daily vlog is, it's basically where you record whatever you're up to that day, and then you edit it and you post it either the next day or the same day. And you do that if you can do that consistently, then it's a daily vlog. And he did that for 3 years in a row. And anyone who makes videos or has tried to vlog before or has a YouTube channel, I suggest everyone tries it even for a week or even for 5 days. It's probably the hardest thing that you could ever do. Not to mention trying to make the content and the videos that you're putting out interesting every single day, and also coming up with what's going to be in the video, the concept of the video, the script for the video, like how your day is going to go, as well as managing. He has a family, he has a kid, living in New York, and he just blew up. And that was my I watched his videos and I was like, right, I'm going to try and learn to do exactly what he's doing, which is providing value, providing entertainment. And that was my escape, watching Casey Neistat. And then after I finished watching Casey, obviously his videos were about 10 minutes each day, I'd then watch Christian Guzman, which I felt like I could kind of relate to a little bit more because he was into the fitness scene. He was going to the gym every day, building a business, getting in good shape, also providing value. And I was just like, I want to give this a try. So first camera that I bought was a GoPro. And anyone who knows anything about photography, videography, is a GoPro is a GoPro. It's a wide angle lens. So it doesn't really look too professional or cinematic. It's more of an action camera. And I went on my first trip with that, vlogged it on my GoPro. made the video when I came back, and just basically learned everything myself. So got Final Cut Pro, typed in on YouTube how to edit a video in Final Cut Pro, how to do this in Final Cut Pro, how to do this, how to do this, how to add transitions, how to fix the sound, how to add text. Everything was self-taught. And I had just finished university at the time. I studied sports management at university, and since completing that degree, I've done absolutely nothing at all to do with that, and I probably never ever will. But again, that just kind of bought me time till I could actually decide what I wanted to do and what I wanted to pursue. And after I finished that first video with the GoPro, and then bought a Canon G7X, which is a little point and shoot camera, which a lot of the YouTubers were using back then before they had the professional setups that they have now. And I just got obsessed with researching how to use the cameras, how to take the best photos, how to take the best videos, how to tell stories. And I was working just a normal job in an office at the time, and any spare time that I had, I was just learning how to get better with the camera, vlogging myself, videoing myself, taking photos of myself. People were judging me, people were making fun of me. I was an idiot, and I just kept at it. And now, kind of 6 years later, we're in this position, which is now I have a community, an online community, which is I help people who are just at the beginning of their creator journey. So people who are similar to me, maybe in a small town in the UK or somewhere in the world, and they've just bought their first camera, they're thinking about buying their first camera. I help them with the equipment. I help them basically build the confidence to go out and start filming themselves, give them ideas of what they could make content about. And yeah, this is all off the back of my YouTube channel and my Instagram. And as you said, big YouTube channel, big Instagram. It's not big at all in comparison to some of my good friends. But what I do have is a really kind of loyal audience. So on YouTube, because I've posted once a week at least, every week for the last 6 years, and my videos tend to be a lot longer and uncut, whereas a lot of people post kind of 10 minutes and it's cut down and it's edited. I try and post more raw. So it's like people get to see my emotions, they get to see how I really am, and I try and leave as much as I possibly can in. And that enables my audience to really feel like they get to know me. And I haven't done this on purpose, by the way, this is just how it's panned out. And I'm very honest. So before I had YouTube and stuff, if I ever made a mistake or if I ever did anything wrong, I'd always tell my mum. And now with my YouTube channel, I feel like I owe it to my audience to tell them for some reason when I mess up or make a mistake. So obviously I'm showing the highlights of my life, the wins of my life, but I'm also showing the downfalls, my mistakes, and the lessons learned. And I think we all make similar mistakes in this life, and I think that's what kind of allows people to build a closer connection with me. So now, in the last 3 months, we've built this community, which now we have 120 members. They pay monthly to be in the Creator Club. We're doing trips away. We did a little meet-up on Friday night, went to the gym, got dinner together. And it's just for young guys and girls. Well, to be honest, we've got a guy in there who's 64, so it's people of all ages, but it's people who are feeling alone on the journey, who want to get into content creation, who want to make Instagram Reels, who want to make TikToks, they want to start a podcast, they want to start creating some form of content, and they just feel a little bit lost, alone, scared, confused. None of their friends are interested. Their friends are probably going to take the mick out of them if they start on the journey, if they post their first reel. I think one of the one line that most people tell me, obviously I kind of have a call and have a chat with people before they join to make sure that they're right for the community. And one of the things that almost every single person tells me is, oh yeah, I'm just worried about what my friends are going to say when I post my first video, or what the people in my town are going to think when I go out and take a video of myself and put it online. And like, for me, that was my issue as well, but that was 7 years ago. And now I'm so far past that those people who did take the piss out of me for doing that stuff, when I used to post the videos on Facebook and whatever, I was the laugh of the town. But now everyone wants me to come and go in their coffee shop and take a picture of the food, tag the coffee shop, put it on Instagram, come here and do this, can you wear my t-shirt here, can you do this, can you do that? And like, I'm happy for people to start their own businesses, and I want to try and help people. A few of my friends have their own businesses now in Whitley Bay, so I like to support them and go in and do whatever I can. But it's just funny because out of all my friends, I'm the only one that's kind of gone and done this. So I can see why there's a gap in the market for this type of, I mean, I could help people one-to-one, but I feel like that's very intense and very time-consuming. So I decided if we all help each other as a group. So as you know, we do a call once or twice a week we'll do a Zoom call and we'll all be on the call. We'll talk about maybe some of the struggles that most of us have. And it isn't just content creation, it's basically self-help, self-improvement. We'll talk about how to increase confidence. We'll talk about time management. We'll talk about all the ways that you can possibly improve your life so you can be at your best. And then I feel like once you're getting at your best, or at least if you're working on yourself, you can then document that and post it online. And people can't fault you for trying to get better. So I think a lot of people now are into self-improvement, and that's where the Creator Club is really good, because it's helping people build confidence for posting themselves online. But we've also got the kind of inner circle of people who are all supporting each other. Like if anyone in the Creator Club goes and tries to do something new, well, it could be run a marathon, it could be climb a mountain, it could be write a book. We're all in there together, and we all support each other, and we all help each other, and we all give each other tips and advice. So this has just came pretty much, I can't say out of nowhere, because it was 2 years ago that I first came up with the idea of the Creator Club, but it was a much more personal one-to-one experience, and I only had like 20 members, but that was still nice. And then Joel, when I was in Bali at the start of this year, was like, oh, we should change it to a monthly membership, allow more people in, then you can help more people, you'll have a community, we can do trips. And I think, because I just get the same questions every day on Instagram, which is, how can I live like you, or what camera should I get, or how do I edit my photos like that, or how do I get my foot in the door? And like, I just decided, join this community, and like, you're in there, you've grown insane amounts over the last 2 or 3 years, you've had so much success, and I'm so proud of you watching your journey. And it just means that people get access to each other, and everyone can help each other, and everyone wins at the end of the day.
Do you know when you said about, your channels are not that big and stuff like that? I know you've been very modest, very, but to me they're quite massive, right? And what I admire you for, Louis, and I'll tell you, straight up, because when you're from the same area as me, and it's like, you would get the piss taken out of you for doing X, Y, and Z with a camera and all the rest of it. The point is, you still did it. Now, where does that come from? Because in order to get to that point, you've still got to be able to do it. So even when people are taking the piss out of you, how did you feel? Did you ever think about not bothering because of it?
Well, this is also another good point. So when I was watching their videos, I was seeing like Casey Neistat every Thursday had an episode where he was just like, he would open all his deliveries that brands had sent him, like all different types of products, e-bikes, e-scooters, new drones, new cameras, new clothing. And I remember thinking, fuck, imagine if I could get all those packages like once a month or something, and just open and just get all the things that I love for free and make videos about them. And that's when I was like, and it's actually funny because this stage has kind of been and gone now with me. Now I'm trying to just grow my own brand and not really work with too many other brands. But like when I first started getting my sponsorships and stuff, I was just getting boxes and boxes and packages through the door of just unlimited free stuff, all my favorite stuff. And for me, that was my dream come true. Like that was it. And then when I was watching Christian Guzman, he was driving Audi R8, Lamborghini. Like I was watching other influencers who were traveling around the world, staying in hotels for free. And what I did is basically curated my videos in a way that I could do a little bit of opening the boxes, talking about cameras, talking about drones. I could also do a little bit of fitness, so show the gym, and I could also include a little bit of travel. So I've one thing that people talk a lot about now is find a niche and stick to it. And I would say my channels probably would have grown a lot more if I had stuck to one thing, but I haven't. I've kind of spread myself out because I've got multiple interests and I like to talk about different things. But for me, just seeing Casey Neistat get to live this life, get all these, it was just a simple thing, just getting all these packages and being able to open them on camera for free. And when I started getting the supplements, the gym clothes, Gymshark, all these massive brands just throwing stuff at me, new trainers, new clothes, like I was like, I've completed it. And then like it just kept getting better. Like like another thing that we talk about in the Creator Club as well is just like emailing hotels before you actually go on holiday, and you end up getting a free stay for a week, and they give you the best room in the hotel that no one else gets, or normally it costs $2,000 a night. And just simple little things from growing an audience, making videos every single day. And like for me, my camera, I record everything that I do anyway. It's just become a habit now. Like I don't even think about getting my camera out. I record everything, take pictures of everything. That's just what I like to do. And I've always liked to do it. Even before I started this whole this journey, I was always taking pictures on my iPhone of everything. And like I guess everything else is just a byproduct of documenting my life. And so for me now, just being able to travel the world, like after this podcast, I'm literally leaving at 4 a.m. and I'm going to Madrid, then I'm going to Bali, and then I don't know where I'll go. And for me, this is just complete freedom. It's the best thing in the world. And it's all because I literally just video myself and talk about, like, I don't, like, I'm like, it's just crazy, honestly.
Yo, what's happening, people? If you are liking the episode so far, make sure you click the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also press the notification bell so you don't miss another episode. Do you think truly anybody can pick up a camera and do this?
Well, that's another reason. Again, I don't want to talk too much about the Cricket Club, but that's what I believe. I believe that anyone can do it if they want to do it. If you're truly passionate about it and you really want to do it, I believe you can do it. Look at me and you. Me and you are the two most normal guys ever from Newcastle, and we've done it. So what's stopping other people to do it? Like that's what I'm trying to show. Like obviously I've got Mike. For anyone who doesn't know Mike Thurston, type him in on YouTube. He's a Greek god. He's my best friend, and I don't think many people can look like him. He's a genetic freak, and he also works so hard for it. Like eats clean every day, goes to the gym every day, so strict with his routine. So he deserves what he has. Whereas for me, I think people can achieve my lifestyle, and that's what I'm trying to show the world is you can live. And again, bear in mind, not everyone wants to go and travel the world. Not everyone wants to get free stuff. Some people are just happy living a normal life. But if you want to be a content creator, if you want to travel the world, if you want to have a YouTube channel, if you just show up and you're consistent with it and you keep improving, I truly believe anyone can do it as long as they're passionate about it and they're not just doing it for money. That's one of the big things is I try and tell everyone is don't start a YouTube channel just for money. And even now, I barely even look at my YouTube revenue because it's irrelevant. Like that's just a little bonus at the end of the month that I get. So, yeah, I think anyone can do it.
Because when I started a YouTube channel 19 years ago, and I had a little thing called Ads Lad TV, right? I don't think I've actually mentioned it on here before. But I used to film musicians up and down the country. And I was inspired by a guy called Jamal Edwards, who's not with us anymore, but he founded the likes of Ed Sheeran and those people. And I did a lot of work with Jamal. And I remember thinking this was amazing. The bad side of it was I was doing it, everyone thought, because I was meeting all these famous people and stuff since I was young and going to the clubs and the bars and getting to meet unbelievable figures that I would have only ever dreamt of as a kid. But I was still making no money, and I found it very hard to monetize that. So a lot of people thought I was smashing it, but really I was going back home to my mum's house in my bedroom, not. So that's when I went to uni and did all them other things and thought, right, how can I kind of monetize it? And that's kind of when the Content PT was born. But I think, as I said to you in the restaurant the other night, my business was effectively born out of desperation because I was like, I can't be in a normal job. And again, this is not, if you're happy in a normal job, great. I wish I was like that, but I'm not like that. So I knew I needed to work for myself. And I know that there's so many people out there, especially part of your community and other people around the world. There's a lot of people like this out there, but they just can't find a way. That's why it's important to get people like yourself and Louis on the podcast because you've done it, I've done it, and I know that we're really only at the start. Although we're years in, it's took us years to kind of build a foundation. So if someone's listening or watching to this, Louis, what type of, I know you've said anyone, but what type of person do you think needs to just go for it?
That's also a good question, and it's also interesting to hear your motivation behind it, because I think over the last kind of year, because we can talk about this later if you want, but like pretty much exactly, it's the 21st of October now, pretty much a year ago was my absolute rock bottom in IBIZA, and I was listening to a podcast about this before, and that's what was making us think about it. But another thing that motivated me as well is that in my previous relationship, I was with my ex-girlfriend for 10 years living in Ireland, and her family were very, very good to me, like took care of me, like I was pretty much part of the family, and they took such good care of me and they looked after me. And I was obviously living in Ireland, and they were also quite wealthy, so I kind of had a taste for all the good things in life. Like I got to drive my ex's brother's G-Wagon. He was like my older brother, so got to drive a G-Wagon, got to drive all the nice cars, got to go on all the nice holidays. And I think when I was living that life, a lot of my friends and stuff from back here were very jealous of me, but not really in a good way. And like I kind of lost the friendships and the connection with my friends back here. And I also kind of lost myself a little bit because I was getting to live this amazing life, but I hadn't earned it or deserved it really. Mm-hmm. And I think I thought about this literally 2 days ago, and I think that is what, being able to have a taste of the good life, I think that's what inspired me even more. Obviously, I broke up with my ex, which is another long story, but when I went off on my own, it was like I needed to prove to myself, like, I can also achieve that lifestyle, even though they were all so good to me, and I'll thank them forever for everything they did for me. But I wanted to taste it for myself and earn it myself. And I think now, as I'm getting more and more successful, gradually, obviously I'm taking my time with it, there's no rush. I'm saying that I can have these nice things and do these nice things and earn it myself and pay for it myself with no help. Like, my mum and dad have never given me money. No one's ever given us, like, hardly any, like, I've never had to borrow money off anyone. And I think just earning it myself has made me even more hungry for it, and, like, it just feels so much better. So that's, again, it's something that I hadn't really thought about until literally this weekend. And so my motivation was being in Newcastle and having a very normal life. I had, like, my mum and dad give us everything that I could have needed growing up, but I didn't have, like, luxury holidays and luxury cars and stuff, and I hadn't been exposed to that until I met my ex. And then when I met my ex and I got a taste for that, I was like, fuck, this is sick. And again, not just material items, but, like, just living a good life, like nice restaurants, all of that stuff. And that's kind of, like, I don't buy designer clothes or anything like that, but I work hard so I can have nice experiences that I remember forever. Or if I want to go to Ibiza at the weekend, I can literally just, doesn't matter about the price of the flights or whatever it is, I can just get up and go. And again, it's that freedom and being able to do what I want. So going back to your question, sorry, I wanted to talk about that because I literally just was thinking about that, because it was the motivation of watching Casey Neistat, Christian Guzman, Steve Cook living their lives, but it was also the motivation of getting all a taste for the finer things in life, but not actually earning it. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned recently is you basically need discomfort, and you need to be pain before pleasure. So, like, pain before pleasure is you need to earn your reward. So if you just go and experience all the nice things in life constantly, but you haven't put in any work, you haven't earned it, it doesn't feel as good, and you can actually go on a very big downward spiral if you get into the habit of doing that. And that's, again, what I was doing in Ibiza, is just enjoying every single day, every moment. And I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't doing any work. I was putting out mediocre YouTube videos. I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't running. I wasn't doing anything hard. And I found that when you actually do the hard thing first and then you reward yourself, it's so much more enjoyable. And that's how I've been trying to live the last year. But we'll talk about that in a minute. I'll go on to say about your question about how can anyone start.
Yeah, like, what type of person, like, what do you think they need to have to do? Because, again, when you look at yourself, getting into YouTube and stuff, there's no guaranteed money, if any, towards a start, certainly before you build up any kind of following. So I think a lot of people want, quick results. Like, if I'm going to start this YouTube thing, I want to start making money. And I understand that for a young person, they want to start, being responsible and making their own money. But I know the YouTube game well. I know the online community well. I kind of know how it all works. But for the people who don't know, like, they might think, they'll look at someone like Louis Armstrong and be like, right, I'm going to pick up a camera, I'm going to vlog stuff. When I've did vlogs in the past, and this is me being purely transparent, I've literally put the camera down, felt sick, and being like, why the fuck would anyone care about what I'm doing? And I remember speaking to you a while ago. In fact, I think it was in Dubai when I spoke to you. Mate, this was 6 years ago, And I remember you saying, well, just film it anywhere and just put it out. I remember you saying that to us, and that stuck with me. And I was like, well, if this is a guy who's done it, and he's making, a life for himself, and he's telling me to do it, maybe I need to do it. So that's when I start putting out more and more content, then people start booking in, and you start realizing that actually it's not going to happen overnight, but you've got to just stay consistent. But how does that person stay consistent? Do they quit the job and start YouTube? Do you?
Well, I think the first thing is, by far the hardest step is putting out the first video on YouTube. That's what every single person in the world struggles with, is that first video. They put so much pressure on themselves, as if the whole world is going to watch this first video, when that's literally so far from the truth. The first video that you post on YouTube should be, in theory, your worst video. And it should continually get better and improve from there. You're talking on camera, your storytelling, your actual videography, if you're doing it yourself, everything, your thumbnail, your title, everything should improve. It's a whole learning experience. So for people who don't know what to start with, and again, when I told you just to put that video out in Dubai, that's because that's going to be on YouTube forever, hopefully, as long as the server doesn't go down or whatever. And that's a memory for you to look back on. And no one is gonna, if you're just starting out, people can't find your video as easy as what you think. Like, that's not how the algorithm works. You have to build it up over time. And another thing with YouTube, Instagram and TikTok right now, you can go viral if you have a good kind of strategy. YouTube, it's very, very hard to grow very fast. It's 5-10 years for YouTube. That's how long it takes. So for people who are just starting out, what I would recommend that they do, I think everyone in this world is passionate about something, or someone has a hobby. Often people will message me being like, oh, I want to join the creator club, but I don't know what to make content about, or I don't know what I'm good at, or I don't know what to film. And I ask them straight away, first of all, do you have an iPhone? And 90% of people tell me yes, or they have some form of smartphone which they can record on, so they don't need to buy a camera. I use my phone. For the last 5 or 6 vlogs, I've used my phone for everything. And I've got nice fancy cameras. I've got the Osmo, which is dead handy. But I use my phone because it's so easy and it's accessible. So what I would tell them to do is, for the first video, is document your day. Do a day in the life. So what does a day in your life look like? Just document your journey, because I'm assuming someone who wants to start YouTube, they want to progress in life in some way. So document your day. What time do you wake up? What do you eat for breakfast? Do you have any hobbies? Do you go to work? What do you work as? Tell us about your job. Do you like your job? Do you work out? Where do you work out? Do you go to the gym? Do you go for a run? Do you follow a training program? Do you count your calories? What do you eat during the day? Do you have breakfast, lunch, dinner? Do you fast? Do you do an ice bath? Like, take us through your day, film it, get loads of different angles, be creative, have fun with it, buy a little tripod from Amazon, literally 10 quid, and prop your phone up and just film yourself all day, doing everything that you would normally do. And that's your first video. And then have a look at that and ask yourself, do people want to watch this? Because if you live in a boring, meticulous day that no one is going to want to live, then that's when you use YouTube. This is what I did, is use YouTube to push you to experience more in life. So start doing challenges. If you don't run or exercise, challenge yourself to do 30 days in a row in the gym. If you've never done an ice bath before, buy one of them cheap ones on Amazon, again, 30 quid, put it outside your house, fill it up with the hose, do an ice bath every single day for 5 minutes in the morning when you wake up, and document it, and just do these little self-experiments. I do believe that everyone in life wants to improve in some way, unless they're happy just being in the comfort zone. But I think in order to be happy, you need to be out the comfort zone, you need to be pushing yourself, you need to be trying and doing hard things. So I recommend every single person start by just documenting their life. And I've told people this as well, make the video, do the whole editing process in iMovie, it's free, CapCut is free. Probably I'd recommend, you can edit on your phone, but it's probably going to take you a little while. And just put it out there, and if you're really, really feeling scared, put it as an unlisted video, as a private video on YouTube, and then you can send that link to all your friends and family, and they can watch it, and no one else can watch it. And start by doing that. But the reality is, if nothing comes of it, this is what I always told myself. I liked videos. I liked looking back at these memories. Like, all my first videos are pretty terrible, but they're just like trips to Las Vegas, like once in a lifetime trip to Las Vegas, ski trips with my friends. Like, they were all just memorable experiences that I wanted to capture and have forever. And now, when I go back on my YouTube, if I go on my YouTube now, it's literally crazy. I've got the whole last 6 years on video of all, like, my good moments, my bad moments. I can look back at IBIZA last year and I can basically don't even recognize myself just being an idiot living a terrible lifestyle compared to what I'm at now. So it's like a journal, like a video journal.
It's unbelievable, that, like, isn't it?
So I think it's one of the best things you can ever do. Even as you said in Dubai, you had all this footage you were filming in the gym, and you just didn't know what to do with it. But just film anyway. And then when you get home and you've got time to think, like, bro, you can literally use them videos from 6 years ago now and be like, look, this is where I was. I was in Dubai, and I didn't know anyone there. I saw Louis, I saw Mike, I saw Matt Does Fitness, I saw this whole squad of fitness influencers, and I took some free content for them. Here's the clips, I've still got the clips, and that's a story to tell. Yeah, and I think you want to try and live a life that's a good story. Like, I often ask myself that, like, it's so easy, like, even, it happens to me sometimes as well, like, it depends of what I'm doing in my life, but it's so easy to just sit on the sofa or sit, like, if I'm in Bali or somewhere, sit by the pool all day and do nothing and try and get tanned. But, like, that's not fun. People don't want to watch that. Like, and even sometimes you can get lazy And I often find myself, right, if I actually go and want to make a YouTube video today, let's do 3 or 4 things that are exciting, that are new. Try a new restaurant, try a new gym, try a new routine, try journaling. Like just try something new and video it. That makes the video interesting because then it opens people's minds to try new things.
When you were obviously putting this content out, you kind of, like you said, it's very uncut, very raw, it's very Louis, and it's how you are, and you've got that loyal fan base that you've kind of cultivated over the years. How much of, when you're creating a video, how much do you put energy into, I want to make a video that I think will perform, versus I'm just going to film what I'm going to do today?
Again, this is another one of my biggest problems, which I'm going to try and change in January with Instagram and YouTube. Up until now, I've been very lucky. Obviously, again, I have these really good friends, Mike, Rob, who are all big influencers, and I make videos with them. And again, if you're a new creator, the only way you can grow pretty much other than going viral and getting lucky is you need to collaborate. You need to collaborate with as many people as you can within your kind of niche and with a same follower count to you, because someone who's got 1 million isn't going to collaborate with someone who's got 10. Like, that's just not with the person who's got 1 million. Like, it's not worth their time. Unfortunately, that's how it works. So you need to collaborate. But I've just been very lucky that I haven't had a strategy. Like, I think what's good about my content is that, as you said, it's raw and it's honest. And sometimes, like, the other people who have these higher number of followers and subscribers, who have got 1 million, they have to be a little bit more careful with what they put out, because they have an image that goes out there that they have to protect. They have to be careful of that image because they're selling a lot of products, they've got their own brand. Like, there's so many things that they need to be protective of. And I think one thing with me, up until recently, now I have to be obviously careful what I put out, because I've got the Creator Club and I'm responsible for 120 people that I need to try and be a role model and try and influence them in a good way. So I have to be careful. But I think the one thing for me is, obviously I don't ever purposely say anything horrible or nasty. Like, you'll never find that on my content, and I'll never ever be negative. But I just say what I'm thinking, and I basically have no filter, and I think that's what people like.
It's a transparency, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, there was a bit you said there, right, which sparked something. And when you said people reach out to you and they're like, oh, Louis, look, like, I don't know, I want to create content, but I don't know what about. I think that there's a deeper question there, and I think it's important to understand why people want to create content to start with. Because if someone doesn't know their hobbies and their interests, why do they even want to create content? Because I understand everyone can do it, but I think there's a bigger burning desire in some people that they just hate what they're doing right now, and they think content's the way forward. Now, I know a shitload of people who've actually tried content and said it was the worst thing they've ever done. I actually know them. They're like, fuck that, mate, I'm going back to my job. But again, I know that you've got to kind of go through it and be consistent. Like, what's so crazy? Again, because I don't plan these podcasts, anything that comes through, I have to say, mate, I can't just stop. But even like, I remember looking at your content. So here's an example. I remember looking at you, Mike, Rob, all the same lads. Again, we're all similar age. So, and I remember looking at your content, and I remember seeing there was a bunch of other influencers, if you like, in Dubai. And this was when I was literally starting the content PT. And what I did was, I was like, I need to get in Dubai. I need to just go. So I just got a flight to Dubai. Like, literally, this was just before COVID, so I was one of them who just went. And I remember thinking, like, I don't know a soul here, like, but I need to be there because that's where everyone is. And then, obviously, that's when I met you and a lot of other people. And I remember I came back and things just literally went boom. And it was like, because they spotted us with all these people. And I just want to say as well, like, you have to, and mate, like, I even remember we were at Train Beach Club. I remember when there was you, Mike, Matt Does Fitness. I was actually there with Alex Beattie on a shoot with him. I actually flew out with Alex. And I remember a load of us were there. And I remember when I was leaving, and I didn't want to leave because I was like, there's so much content I want to create, but I didn't know anyone other than Alex. So I remember do you remember when I came across, I was like, lads, can I get a photo before I leave? And I remember how much that genuine, I mean this, mate, it fucking killed us inside. Because I was like, I feel like an idiot. That I was embarrassed. I was like, everyone's going to be like, who are you? But I realised how sound yous all were. You're just lads all having a go in life. And that's all I was trying to do. And then I realised as soon as I came back, I was like, that's one of my favourite photos I've got. Because I remember how much of, although people may look and see people I've been with and they'll be like, you're purely confident. And I get it, I would class myself as confident, but certainly then I was like shitting myself, even to ask for a photo, but I did it. And then things go off the back of that. So people have got to realise you've got to do that thing. Like, I can only imagine how many times you've created a piece of content with someone, you've thought, fuck, this is going to be hard, but you've just got to do it and push yourself. And that's when you realise once you do that, not only do you grow as a person, but secondly, you actually give less of a fuck about doing them things. And when you said you were kind of lucky, I know that obviously when you went to Rob Lipsett's event, in a weird way, because did you know Rob before that?
No.
Because you kind of wormed your way in, didn't you, really?
But I had messaged Rob as well, like 10, 20 times on Instagram. He just ignored me.
So did you feel like shit when you went to his event and being like, I'm the guy who's been pestering him and he doesn't really want to know yet?
Well, the funny thing was I didn't actually even get to meet Rob. I only got to meet Christian.
Did you not?
No. So, but then after Rob's event, I was like you, obviously meeting us in Dubai. But then when I left Rob's event, I had a 2-hour drive back home. And I was like, I've just met Christian, who was my all-time role model. I've heard Rob speak on stage. I've seen all these people here for Rob, Christian, Max June and everyone. And I was like, I need to just give this a shot. Like, there's just absolutely no way I can't try and do this. And then a few days later, I messaged Rob on Instagram being like, hey bro, I probably deleted all the other ones that I had sent. And then I messaged Rob saying, hey bro, absolutely loved your event. Honestly believe it's going to change my life. Sad I didn't get to meet you, but I got a picture with Christian, and then I sent it to Rob. And I knew that had a high chance of Rob seeing it because, of course, like, Instagram was so different even back then as well for requested messages and stuff. It was like so hard to get in touch with any of the big dogs. Yeah. Whereas now I feel like I can pretty much see almost every message that comes to me. Mike can see all the messages. Like Instagram's much easier to get through to people now. And then Rob replied, and then I said, oh, do you mind if I live in Northern Ireland, which is 2 hours away from Dublin, and I was like, do you mind if I just come down at a weekend and I'll shoot some content for you for free? And I was nowhere near good enough to even shoot the content for free. But Rob was like, oh yeah, let's just give it a go. And then I did, and then we did it.
Were you nervous going down?
Yeah, horribly nervous. And like at the time, that was when I was just getting to know all the camera basics. I didn't know if the mic was recording. I was shooting on a 50mm lens to try and make it look cinematic, but it had no image stabilization, so all the footage was shaky. Like, I was just such a beginner back then.
See, I love this though, because it shows, like, even because again, a lot of people will look at you as a person of authority now, and you've did that shit. I've done all that, so I know with everything you say. I mean, mate, I've been on a shoot today, and I was kind of like feeling a little bit like, actually, well, this is not really my area of expertise, but I know that they're coming to me now, and you kind of start realizing that you've just got to do it. Like, even if I didn't take that photo in Dubai, I would say 99% chance you wouldn't be sitting here today. And that goes with all the other people I've had on the podcast and people who I know now and they're my friends. And I think that's the weirdest thing. Like, a lot of these guys, like, even, I know this sounds mad, even back in the day when I was younger and I used to go to Ibiza, like, I never thought I'd be friends with Wayne Lineker. I never thought that would, I know that's just another guy in Ibiza, but to me, I never thought I'd be in a position where I could go whenever I want and all that type of stuff. But again, it's trying to knock them doors down slowly but surely, and you start realising that actually, the more, I don't want to say up because it sounds dickish, but like the more kind of networking you do, the smaller it gets towards the top. So for instance, I know you know Louis Harrison. He's a good mate of mine. And I know, do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, but before I did the photo and before I did the shoots years ago, I wouldn't have known him. And then, so the more you do things, although it might not be instant money, but there's still networking. And I always say this to people, you can never unknow somebody. No matter what happens now, if you walk out of here and never speak to me again, you'll remember this podcast forever.
Yeah. 100%.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's a really powerful thing. And it's the same as creating your first video. Like, how buzzing at you, the fact that you created something 6 years ago. Yes, you might not have been at the time where you're at now financially and all the rest of it, but you've still got that and it's something you're proud of. And it's certainly for you with the Creator Club, it's now, it's its own testimonial. Yeah. Look what I did. This was me. Imagine if you'd said, I've been creating content for all these years and worked with Mike, but you couldn't prove it.
It's literally insane. And as you said, like, just talking about all those things with the camera, I think sometimes that has been such a big part of my journey, like something that I used to think about so much all day, every day, that sometimes I forget to talk about that stuff because there's a lot of people now picking up their cameras who are experiencing all that, and I forget. Again, this is something that I want to start doing in January, is providing value on Instagram rather than just posting lifestyle stuff, providing more value on YouTube and talking about these experiences and these difficulties that people have with their cameras that I've kind of forgot completely about because I'm so used to doing it now after 6 or 7 years. And again, as you said, networking is the absolute number one thing. And again, not to promote the Creator Club, but that's why I'm here today. Like that's how I've had any success, is just my network. It's been not scared to, like, there's a Geordie saying, which I always tell everyone about, is shy Bairns Get Nowt. Mm-hmm. So if you don't ask, you don't get. And what the worst thing someone's going to say is no. And then they forget about it and you forget about it. And then if you really want to, you wait a month or 2 months and then you come back again and you ask them again and maybe you offer them something in return for their answer of yes. And that's like the reason I'm here and the reason I've had the success is because I got my foot in the door by going to that event with Rob. I said to Rob, I'll come down and work for you for free. Did it for a month, 2 months. My videos got better, they improved. Mike saw my video. I was already friends with Mike because he worked in Hollister. And again, I made sure when Mike was working in Hollister that I was picking my shifts so I could be on at the same time as him. So I could pick his brain and work out, how are you in this shape? How have you got this many followers on Facebook? It wasn't even Instagram at the time. And I was always just interested and curious. And I think if you can be curious and ask questions, you can find the answers. People tell you the answers. But as you said, network is everything. When I've been working with Mike, Matt Does Fitness, Harrison Twins, Rob, everyone, even though I'm behind the camera and I'm the cameraman and I'm the videographer, and there's a lot of people in this industry as well who have too much of an ego and they don't want to just be the cameraman. It hurts their pride being called the cameraman. Or I've got, like, if Rob was to say, oh, I've got my cameraman with me, like, that never used to bother me because, like, why should it bother me? It's true, I'm being paid to be the cameraman, so, like, just drop your ego, you need to.
Yeah, of course.
And I think that's so important is, even though I'm getting all the content, taking the photos, taking the videos, I always went extra and above. I always shot way more than what I needed to. And on top of that, I always made sure I had a real connection with the people that I was shooting with my clients, because I knew that I don't really want these people to be my clients. I want to be their friends. I want to be in the circle. I want to get so much more than just to be shooting their content. And that's what I did with everyone. So that's how, like, now Owen and Lewis, we have a group chat with Mike. We talk every day. Matt Does Fitness, talking to him this morning. Like, I'm going to go and stay in his new house in London. Like, it's just making sure that you I think just caring about other people and being a good lad, as they would say in Newcastle, just having a bit of respect for people, paying attention to what people do, being interested and being curious. I think that'll get you a long way.
I think it's again, that's so valuable, man, to the viewers and listeners, because if you are out there and you're in that job and you're sick of it, or you're whatever, you could be on the dole, it doesn't matter, just get hold of your phone and just start creating something, because you never know. If you just keep it up, and that's the thing, you didn't know you were going to do the business that you're doing now. Then I didn't know, like I even said this, I think I might have said it on a call with you, but the thing I make money off now wasn't invented 3 years. I don't think, when did Reels come out? I don't think, like, that is literally people come to me for Reels. I'm also not, like, it's almost like I'm the Reels guy when it comes to the fitness stuff. Yet, no one even knew what a Reel was. So when I set up the business, I didn't know I'd make money doing what I'm doing now. And I heard a statistic, mate, this will blow your balls off, mate, if you've not heard it. I didn't quote us on this, but it's something like 80% of jobs now weren't even created 7 years ago. That like chills me, you know.
The amount of opportunity that social media brings is literally just absolutely wild. Like, even just being with it was my friend's birthday on Saturday, and I was with my, like, old friends, still my friends now, but just the friends who I grew up with. And when I'm trying to explain, like, they're all working normal jobs, and I'm trying to explain, like, what I do and, like, how I make money and stuff, and they're all just like, their minds are blown. And that's why I think it's like, if you are, like, it honestly doesn't matter what age you are. Like, if you want to get into this, don't let yourself fall behind just because of your age. Like, it's never too late to get involved in this. And, like, there's so many opportunities, like, in the social media world, in the content creation world. And, like, as I say, every human being, in a way, is a content creator. Like, we're all, not content creator, but a creator in some way. We've all created something, or we all want to create something. We all want to, like, it could be reading a book, it could be creating a product that helps people in their life, saves people time. It could be a service. If you create a service that adds value to someone or helps someone in a certain way, that's a creation. So like everyone is a creator. Like that's why we were put on the world to create things and to create a better create a better life for ourselves.
Because there was a term I heard, like, I mean, people like yourself, entrepreneurs, but there's also intrapreneurs as well. Are you familiar with that term? So I think that as well, like there's a lot of people who are in the normal jobs, but they're actually entrepreneurs, but they're just doing it in the kind of confines of a 9 to 5 role. And I think as well, the more people like yourself are telling their story, the more people who are on social media creating content, the more that you can choose who you follow. You can surround yourself literally by whoever the fuck you want to follow. And I think the more positive kind of content creators and stuff that you consume and the content that you consume, you can actually understand the traits that you've got in your own life and what you're doing as a person. Like, and you might actually think, well, yeah, I might be a taxi driver, but actually, I'm really good with people. I'm very conscientious. I want to make sure that they get from A to B. I know that sounds mad, but just something as simple as that's what I do. I drive for a living. But that could literally spark the creator in you. So regardless, I would just say, just have a little look at what you're doing right now. And it might be you might hate your job, but there might be one bit that you love. Latch onto that because that's something that you can take over. Obviously, you mentioned about being a good lad, and obviously everyone knows you from Newcastle. I want to ask, what was your support network like, Louis? Like, what were your mum and dad like? Do you have siblings as well?
I've got 2 little brothers, yeah.
And what are they like? Because do they look up to you? Did they support you? Because again, if I've got a daughter, and if she was like, "Oh, Dad, I'm going to do this," I mean, now like I'm like, just gun for it. Like, whatever you want to do, just go for it. Because I can see what's possible. But I would also be a bit like, "But how are you going to make money?" Was your mum and dad the same, and your siblings and that? What did they think of you?
This is a good question, and also, this is a really good question. But let's bear in mind, basically, when I think this is important, and I will just be honest because I think it's good to talk about. When I was in this kind of journey of trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I was pretty much living with my ex's family, and they were, as I said, quite well off. All had good jobs, all well educated, and like I say, I'm just literally the most normal person ever. Got kicked out of school, had to go to college, didn't know what I wanted to do. Did sport at university just because probably wasn't really clever enough to do anything else, and like I was terrible at school. But I think the best thing about my mum and dad is that they always just told me, like, they never ever told me what to do. Like, they never ever put pressure on me to get a good job and be a lawyer or be a doctor. They never did that. They just kind of, it's so weird. Like, sometimes I wonder how they do it, because I'm sometimes a little bit of a control freak. But my mum and dad just let me, like, I think that they just trust me to work it out. And like, I've worked every single job you could possibly imagine. Like, I remember my first job, I was 15 or 16, getting paid £4 an hour on Christmas Day to wait at tables and clean plates. I've done every job that you could, being a builder, a grafter, carrying bricks up 10 flights of stairs, like cleaning out fiberglass. Like, I've done every job that you could I've worked in retail, I've worked in supermarkets, I've literally made coffees, I've done everything you could possibly imagine. And my mum and dad have always just kind of left me to it. They've never tried to push me in any direction, or I think sometimes they've definitely doubted me when I've been doing the YouTube and stuff. And like, I remember when I bought my car, I drove it straight home to park it outside the front of the house, because that was kind of like, there's the proof to my mum and dad.
The car that you're driving now?
Yeah, and they were like so shocked. And I think that was like, although you shouldn't do stuff to prove other people wrong, that was a good moment for me, because that was kind of, it was my dream car, and I had got it doing something that my mum and dad were kind of like, what is he doing? And even my grandma said to me, I went to see my grandma the other day, brought her a sandwich, and she was like, I'm honestly so shocked, like, I can't believe it. She was always nagging me, being like, oh, what are you going to do? You should get a real job, blah, blah, blah. And like, my dad used to be a DJ, so I think that's kind of a creative type of job, and he was making music and stuff. So I think my dad just kind of always left me to it, whereas my mom and my grandma and stuff were just always a bit concerned, like, what are you actually doing? They just don't understand it. But I think just the freedom that my mom and dad give me was so good.
What about your friends, Louis? Because I know that you said obviously you met up with them recently and all the rest of it, and they still kind of don't know what it is that you do exactly. When you were doing this stuff and living in Ireland and really trying to kickstart this YouTube thing, were you getting support off your friends as well?
Well, yeah, and that's another good point as well with my ex's parents, is they were they were kind of the opposite of my parents. They were kind of a bit more pushy, being like, oh, you should get a job in the office, or like you should work harder, or like I remember specifically when I was doing all the work with the camera, the photography, when I was doing all that work for free driving down to Rob, they were like, oh, you should be charging, like you shouldn't be doing all of this for free. But they didn't understand, like, I'm so thankful that I did all that for free, because that's where all of the opportunities come from after that. So like I kind of used to feel a pressure to, maybe I should be charging, but in reality what I did was actually right, just trusting my own instinct. And again, they pushed me and helped me in every single way. Like I think like my ex's family helped me so much, especially her older brother is really, really successful. And he was kind of like my mentor. So we used to sit in a coffee shop on a Saturday and Sunday morning and just write ideas down on pieces of paper. And he's a proper entrepreneur. Like he has lots of very successful businesses. So he always pushed me. And even when the opportunity came to go and work with Mike and go and travel the world, even though my girlfriend was his sister and he knew that I was going to have to basically leave her for periods of time, he told me, like, I love my sister, I love you, but you need to just go and chase your dreams. Like, he pushed me to go and do it.
That's amazing.
And so that was really, really nice. But my close friends who I grew up with, I don't know, I think they were just kind of confused at first. And then once they saw the lifestyle and everything that I get to do, and like being with Mike and all of these guys who, like the big dogs, they start, like whenever I came home now, they would just ask me loads of questions. So I mean, I think that's a good thing. I think they're interested. But in the beginning, they thought I was stupid.
Because I know you did mention a bit earlier, like people would be jealous around you. Was it friendships who were jealous, or was it just people in your area and that? Like,
people would be jealous because like I was just living this life that I didn't really deserve.
Yeah, which is, I suppose, it's understandable for some people.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And that kind of made us feel weird. And then when I started to do it for myself, and like I try not to brag, but I mean, people can see what I get up to on my YouTube, and now my friends are all so happy for me, and I don't know, it's just so weird when I think about it, because there isn't literally a single one of my friends who does anything like what we do.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And like as you said about my little brothers, they have no interest, and they don't, like you said, did they support me? They literally don't have any interest.
You know what's mad though, and this is what I mean. From the brothers bit, I mean, I guess everyone's on their own path. I totally understand. They're not going to just look at someone like yourself and be like, right, I want to do that. I get it. It's you know. But what I know about the industry, and I know it's a slog, and there's going to be a lot of free work and a lot of, you know, intuition and a bit of luck as well, or whichever way, if you make your own luck. But what I would say is like, what I do know is this industry, especially in the online world, like it's uncapped. You could literally make as much as you want. Why wouldn't people want to do it?
That's what I don't understand.
Like, I actually said, I think I said on the last podcast, like, so a lot of people who I know don't really understand what I do. They're like, yeah, you film videos with these fitness guys, but they don't realize, like, no, there's an actual business. Like, they need content, and I'm their creator. Like, that's what we do. So if I'm in this area or this country or something, it's like, and I was talking about the day on a shoot, mate. So one of the lads was like, "How was your holiday?" And I'm like, mate, it wasn't a holiday. Like, I was away to work. And they're like, yeah, but I saw you in Ibiza, like, having a few shots. I was like, yeah, but that's work. Like, so some people can't fathom that. And there's all the bullshit that I had to go through to get to that point. It wasn't just from day one. Like, I wish I was them a lot of the time. I wish I had a job. I wish I was in a 9 to 5 and I was getting, you know, whatever, X amount a year. But only when you start understanding how it works, like, you feel like, am I doing a secret job here that people don't understand? Like, it's weird, mate. I still have it now, you know. I still feel like that. Like, even with a podcast bit, like, how can you do a podcast? I'm like, yeah, the podcast doesn't pay, but I've got a business where I can do this stuff as well. Like, so it's like, it's almost like if you've got a 9 to 5 job or a normal job, you're like, I'm starting a podcast. Fuck that, mate. Like, it's a full, because this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an absolute genius, and like all the work that he puts in, it's like, there's a lot of work that goes into this type of stuff. Obviously, you know yourself. So unless you're in that position, you couldn't really. It would be very hard to start a podcast. So I can understand why people don't understand it, but I feel like if you try it, you may understand that, fucking hell, like, you'll open up your world. Is that how you felt as well?
I think I feel like that, but another big thing that just massively opened my eyes is I was living in Bali, Bali or Bali. I don't know.
I say Bali, but
Bali.
I hear you say Bali.
I was living in Bali for 3 months at the start of the year, and that was my first time in Asia. And then I went to Thailand last month for 5 weeks. And I think, more importantly, even more important than starting to video yourself, is, like, I always use this as an example. Joel, one of my best friends, he's younger than me. But when I met him, I was like, he's so intelligent and so wise and, like, so composed. And I was like, how is he like this? And he literally left uni after his first week there and moved to Thailand and started videography. Sorry. And he was just videoing, like, diving schools, Muay Thai camps, gyms, cafes, everything. And he lived there for like 2 or 3 years. And then he went to Bali. And, like, he gained all this experience of the real world, of different cultures, of different lives, of the way other people live, whilst everyone else is still at uni, like going out partying in Newcastle and living in a student house and, like, going to class a few hours a week. And Joel gained all this, like, life experience that most people are just still. He's still pretty much a kid at uni, but Joel was so much more wise. And I used to ask Joel all about this. And then I went to Bali and Thailand at the start of this year, and it's just completely opened my eyes to a whole new world. Like, you can literally live, like, you can get accommodation that's literally a tenner a day, and you ride around on a moped that's £1 a day. You can eat the best food. You can go to the beach. Like, I don't even wear shoes. Like, I know this is really cliche, like, traveler, like, spiritual, go lose yourself, whatever. But, like, you don't wear a t-shirt, you don't wear shoes. The weather's always nice. The people are nice. You can eat the best food in the world for £2 or £3, and you realize, I don't need a fancy car to impress the neighbours. I don't need a mortgage on a house. I don't need all of these things that society tells us that we need to go to work 9 to 5 for. I don't need any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I actually met a lot of really successful older guys, business guys in Thailand and Bali who were in their 50s, and they had the good jobs in the banks, they had the Rolex, they had the nice car. They sold it all and they moved to an island in Asia and started a bar, and now they're eternally happy and they don't need to compete with their neighbours or anyone on their street, and they don't even have to think about that. Yeah. They just get to watch the sunrise and sunset from their bar every day and talk to customers and live a nice easy life. And I think that really opened my eyes this year a lot, because I think a lot of people in the UK are competing against each other, their friends, their family members, their neighbours, and they're all doing it so they can show off. Like, people buying big houses where it's got 5 or 6 bedrooms, but why do you need 5 or 6 bedrooms when there's only you, your wife and your son or whatever?
It's all that, isn't it? They're just kind of, even the expensive cars and that, and they're running up all this debt and all of it. And don't get us wrong, like, I drive a Golf, right? And there's been so many I actually battled with for a while, like, shall I just get a nice car? Like, do I need... Then I was like, I'm doing 1,000 miles a week, like, I'm just going to hammer a car. And then secondly, it's exactly that as well. It's like, at what point do you just go, what do I actually need? And I spent a bit of time in Bali, and I used to train out the body factory in Bali. Obviously, you'll be familiar with it. And I remember speaking to a PT who was in there. He actually worked behind the desk. I don't know if he was a PT, but he was from London somewhere. And I was like, why did you do this, bro? And he was like, just the cost of living was that low out here, and I live like a king. Like, I get floating breakfast and all that type of stuff. I was like, and I was out there doing them things. I was like, fucking hell, we're spending pretty much now here. Don't get me wrong, the gym was really expensive. Like, that body factory was expensive. I'm sure we paid like €150 for it. It was like, was it 150? And I was like, this is, but at the same time, like, even going to Canggu, going to the beach clubs, having some bintangs, like, all the things we were doing, you were training, like, you were eating healthier, you were going on a shred without even trying to. Like, it was just mad. And I'm like, that's like almost the perfect life. The only issue for me at the time was I wanted children. Like, I did want my own kids, and I was like, could I really do it here? Probably not.
For me.
So,
in Bali, this is what I said. Like, in Bali, and again, I always talk about this, but it was like a realization that I had. So I was putting on my Instagram story a few times a week, like, gonna do a run club tomorrow. Let's meet at this spot at the gym, and we'll do a 5K loop. And, like, first 5 people turned up, and then the next week 10 people turned up, and then it was like 25 people turning up, and people would just watch my Instagram story from all over the world. And, like, there was people just like 25 people. Like, I would literally put the Instagram story. This is the power of social media as well. Like, and just being consistent. Like, I posted on my story, and within a month there was 25 people showing up to the run club. And after we had been for the run, would sit in a little cafe looking over the beach, and would sit there for 2 hours talking. And everyone was trying to work online. They had came to Bali, Canggu, to start their online business because the cost of living was so low, the networking was so good. I mean, one of the downsides is you have to go everywhere on a moped. There's no cars or anything. So if you've got children or there's no old people and there's no children. It's just young hustlers. And that's why it's so good for networking and for meeting the right people, because everyone's either got a successful online business or they're just starting their online business. And that's what I love about it. Like, for me, my perfect day ever: wake up 7 a.m., do a run club, meet lots of new people, have a good conversation, go to the wrong gym, ice bath, sauna, get up, go and have breakfast, go and do a mid-afternoon workout, and like in between all of that, walk along the beach, be in the sun, work on my laptop in a really nice cafe, eating the nicest food, fresh coconuts for literally £10 or £15 a day.
And for people who don't know what the wrong gym is, it's a gym. It's just called the wrong gym.
Yeah.
When you said the wrong gym.
And then I'm just like, and again, I do like the UK, and it's so nice to see my family. And like, I think one thing that I've really forgot recently, which I've noticed going to the gym and stuff, being here for a week, is I forgot how much I miss Geordie people. Like, I think they're literally so funny, and like, they're friendly, and it's just funny, like talking, having those, like, because I've literally lived outside of the UK for like 3 or 4 years now. So I'm living in places where they don't speak English, like especially in Madrid, not many people speak English. So I don't get to have that funny kind of crack and banter with people.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, because obviously your story, it's mad because I understand it. It's like, I kind of understand the trajectory and why you've done certain things, and I totally get all that, but I know that there's going to be viewers who are still like, I know, but how did he live in Ibiza for 2 years? Or how did he do this? Or how did he do that? Now, obviously, you've had sponsorships with the likes of Gymsharks, and you've been with the biggest brands in the world, Louis. I want to ask you a question. Did those sponsorships and the brand deals and the things that you were kind of, whether it was whichever brand it was, I don't need to name them, but were they as good as what you thought? So when you got with a particular, it does not be any, when you were like, right, I'm working with a brand, I'm that guy, I'm the influencer, I've got the brand deal, I've been recognised, I'm with this influencer, I'm collaborating, was it as good as what you thought it would be? Because I know that you're not with a few of them brands now, are you?
Yeah, because I'm trying to follow in Mike's footsteps. Mike doesn't work, he works with one brand, and that's Bionic, and he's now a shareholder of that supplement company, but I'm trying to follow in his footsteps and be in control of building my own brand and having my own products, having my own t-shirts, having my own. I want to be responsible for all of it. Like, it's nice. Like, I only now work with the brands that I absolutely love, which is Whoop and Ghost, pretty much. All the other brands I don't work with anymore, because I just find it sometimes, I don't like being told what to do at all, and that's why I don't work a normal job. So when you've got brands, especially the bigger brands, I'll not say any names, but telling you how to live your life and telling you how you should basically paint yourself online. Like, you need to be like this. You're a fitness influencer, so you need to behave like this. You can't do this. You can't post that. You can't do that. And even though I was living in Ibiza, being a fitness influencer, partying every day, of course it was my own stupid fault, but I didn't want to be told. And again, this is where I kind of got myself all confused and got myself into a bit of a bad situation, because I'm supposed to be inspiring people, and now I can see it, but back then I couldn't. I'm supposed to be inspiring people to live a better life, to get out, to exercise, to try new things, to improve their lives in whatever way they can. But I was in Ibiza, stuck in a rut, partying every day, and really, when I think about it, that's not inspiring anyone, to be honest. It's fine to go to Ibiza for a holiday and have a good few days, 2 or 3 days, see your favourite DJs, go with your friends. But doing it every day it's not sustainable for anyone. Like, it's not attractive, and it's not something that people want to do. So I had to I'm happy that we're past that stage now, but there was a time in Ibiza where I was making a lot of money from just brand deals. But I was, again, very fortunate that I was able to say yes or no to whoever I wanted to work with.
Was there a lot of brand deals that you were turning down as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loads of brand deals.
Is there any?
And for example, if they offered me a lot of money, what I always do is try the product first. And once I've tried the product, then I can say yes or no. And like, there'll be times where I've been like, fuck, I'm so happy I didn't. And it's not that the company's bad, but it's just not a good product or not a good service that I would actually use. And then if I post something and people don't enjoy it, or people get ripped off, or it's not what it says on the tin, that's all on me. and I hate that.
And then that's going to obviously affect your personal brand, isn't
Yeah.
it? Was there any kind of brands that you wish you'd worked with?
Well, like,
Or is there? Like, even now, where you're like, yeah, I want to build my personal brand, but if that one reached out, yeah, I'd go for it.
it's a good question. I would love to work with a good running trainer brand. So like them trainers that you see everyone wearing now, ON running. I love that brand. Hoka, I wear Hokas all the time for my runs. I would like to work with a brand of running trainers
Because it
specifically.
fits your brand, doesn't it?
But I've worked with pretty much everyone that I've wanted to. BMW, Land Rover, Red Bull. I actually got sacked from Red Bull because I don't know what I was thinking. Posted a picture of a white monster on my story, and they literally saw it within minutes and wrote me a massive message just disposing of me.
Because the reason I ask about the brand thing, Louis, is because a lot of the PTs and online coaches who I work with, right, I feel like, I know because a lot of them ask us, but a lot of the lads are like, I want to build a following, so I want to get a brand on board. And it's like, not that I dissuade them, because if that's your goal, that's your goal. But I'm like, you could end up going down the wrong path here, because you're basically trying to build something for a brand. You're far out of building it for yourself. But I do understand they want to experience it. They look at people like yourself who've been with brands, and like, well, if all these other guys are doing it, it's a good look for them. Do you think someone should aspire to work with a brand?
I think it depends on what you're doing. Obviously, let's not forget, before I'm in this position, I was a content creator, so I was a photographer and videographer. So for me, working with the best brands in the world was something I could put on my portfolio, which was always my aim and purpose. So for me, as a photographer, videographer, yes, you want to work with as many brands as you possibly can. And another thing that people seem to forget is, how's Louis got sponsored by all of those brands when he's only got 50k subscribers on YouTube and 60k or 100k or whatever on Instagram? But the reason that I was getting the sponsorships from the brands was, there was two reasons. There was one, that I was so open and personable on my Instagram stories. That's what, whenever I speak with the managers, that's what they always tell me. They like it how every single day I'm talking on my Instagram story. I turn up every single day. I'm constantly talking to my audience. And I think that's why I've always got good results for these brands, because whenever I do work with a brand and I promote it, they get results. People buy the products because they believe me and they trust me. But again, I was a photographer and a videographer, and now, although a lot of my content on YouTube and Instagram, probably because I've got lazy, is on my iPhone, I still do have an unbelievable camera with lenses, and I've got all the equipment. So when a brand wanted content, I could basically make the content with me in it. I would get my friend or girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or whoever to hold the camera. I'll plug all the settings in. I'll wear the clothes. I'll put them in position. Then we'll burst photo a load of photos, and I can produce the highest quality content for that brand, and I'm in it, and I can post it on my profiles. So that was my unique selling point, is that most other influencers are just creating pretty simple iPhone content, whereas I could create the highest standard of content for the brand, for the website, for the Instagram, for whatever it was, and that's what got me so many opportunities. And that's how I got to work with literally Land Rover, BMW. Like, BMW literally flew me down to the bottom of the country, near Cornwall, at Land's End, and literally for 3 or 4 days paid for everything, paid me a good salary, a good wage, and I was able to bring 2 other videographers with me, and we made the best content ever for BMW. So I've like BMW, Whoop, Ghost, Gymshark, Lululemon, all of the dream brands that I've ever wanted to work with, I've worked with pretty much.
It's unbelievable, that. And I think the thing is as well, it's like when you look at kind of what you've done, you kind of understand that if you make something for you, and like you're saying, you're relatable to that person, of course it's going to be good for a brand, because you're effectively doing their marketing. When I started the podcast, Louis, started about a year ago, and I remember the reason I started it initially was, how do I get to network with people? Because a lot of the times I was trying to reach out to certain people, you know yourself, mate, it's going to be like, sorry, bro, you're too far away, or sorry, I'd love to work with you, mate, but I'm going to be in this place or whatever. And it was just logistic. It was all over the place. However, instead of speaking to a representative of that company, I would just go straight to the top, literally the biggest decision maker in the brand, and be like, right, I want you on a podcast, any chance? And what you find is they're like, yeah. And I'm like, right, so a lot of people are willing to speak to people, but they don't want to necessarily jump straight into business, like jump into bed with them. So I was like, okay, if I get you on the podcast and build a relationship, and since I started the podcast, I've realised I've actually built a lot more business. And again, that wasn't really a plan. I just want to sit down and network with these people. And then what I realised, I started getting spotted from doing a podcast. Now, mate, we're only on like 6,000 subs. So I can't even imagine what these lads who've got these massive platforms. And I was a bit like, oh, it's a little bit like, I don't know how I feel about it. But then, I mean, I appreciate it. Anyone who watches a podcast, of course I do. But at the same time, that's not why I did it. But now I can kind of understand, it's actually, there's pull in this now. When did you make, because I've always been the videographer, you see. When did you make the switch from being the guy who was the cameraman to actually being the guy?
Yeah, well, I was lucky as well with that because I had Mike, and Mike was my best friend. So for those that don't know, Mike Thurston, type him in. I've already told you to type him in. I'm getting him some new subs if they don't know who. I'm sure you all know who Mike is, but Mike was my best friend, and me and him travelled around the world for 3 years together, literally just going all around the world, and it was unreal because I was a videographer, he was the influencer, and I was at that time the most passionate I could ever be about videography, video editing, and the chemistry was so good, and he was paying for me to come everywhere around the world and paying me a salary, and it was just the best time, literally the best times ever, the dream job. And then I was kind of, whenever we had a free day, I'd make like a little video on the side. Obviously, I'd try and put Mike in it as much as possible because people wanted to kind of see the behind the scenes of Mike's life, and they wanted to see our relationship. And then people were just literally loving the views. And then Mike used to say to me, like, you're so good on camera. Like, sometimes I find it so hard to pick up the camera and speak to it, or I'm not in the mood. But he was like, you just do it every day so naturally, and like, you never mess up your words. It's so weird. Like, he was like, you need to do this as well. And then eventually, when things started picking up, me and Mike got separated. He was stuck in Dubai during Corona, and I was in Ireland. I started running, and then a lot of brands reached out to me and Ghost and Gymshark started wanting to sponsor me because I was doing running, and not many other fitness influencers were doing that. And then me and Mike came together after Corona. We started work together still, but Mike had kind of lost motivation because he was just kind of repeating the same cycle, and he had, even though he was making YouTube videos, he had fell into the comfort zone and he needed to do something else. And that's when he basically had the idea of doing the swim shorts and going all in on the podcast. And then he left, and I had also kind of become less passionate, and he was like, you just need to do YouTube videos yourself. You've got 2 free sponsors. You're making enough money now to survive. Like, just be careful. Don't be stupid with your money, but you're making enough to survive. Just go and give it a shot. Full-time YouTube and Instagram. Mike was the one that pushed me to do it.
It's amazing that, because if you're going to get a mentor or any kind of advice, who better than Mike Thurston?
And also, how many people in this world, if their best friend is their videographer and they're having the best time ever together and they're the best team together, there's not many other people in this world that will tell you, I'm willing to sacrifice what we have for you to go and give it a shot yourself. A lot of people would have been greedy or selfish and been like, no, I don't want you to do that. I don't think you can do that. We need to stay together.
So a personal note on that one, a personal question, Louis. When Mike has his other videographer or whoever's worked with him, do you feel a type of way about that? I know obviously you want Mike to succeed, because I get it, we all want to win, and you want, like, I want the best for you. Like, if I see another lad smash it, like, that's what I want. So it's like I actually get fucking energy from that. I'm like, when I see you doing things in Bali or here or there, and I'm like, right, I need to get after it because he's doing it, and I love that shit. Like, do you feel like, I wish I was filming Mike? Because, like, it's still a relationship you've got. I know you're a cameraman, but you're still a friend. So it's like, yeah, I guess I'm doing my own thing, but I don't get to spend that time with you now.
I think as I was phasing out, Mike was using other videographers, and there was people like Nabil, who I don't know if people know about Nabil, but he used to be Christian Guzman's, and he's like best videographer ever in, like,
he's unbelievable.
The fitness, the cinematic. He's literally just the best ever. So then people were like comparing me to Nabil in the comments and stuff, and that was like, I don't really care. Like, I was never going to be at that level, nor did I want to be at that level, because I was kind of trying to do my own thing. So I never felt jealous. Like, even now his videographer Chris, like, he's a really nice guy. He's got a photographer. Mike now has a photographer, a videographer, and an editor full time. He's got a team, and if anything, I like it more because it means that I don't have to worry about being behind the camera. I don't need to worry about messing up, not recording the audio, Mike not being plugged in, and me and Mike can just have a good time and be best friends. and I don't have to worry about being stressed.
Gives an example then when everything's went absolutely tits up.
Loads of times, literally so many times.
Is there anything where you think, I cannot believe I've lost that footage of that, or has there any been major
and it's hard.
And how have you dealt with it? Have you been scared to tell?
Yeah, it's horrible. So many times.
I've been there, but
there's so many times, and I don't know if it was worse or better that Mike was my employer and my best friend. I literally don't know if it was better or worse, but there's been times where in Ibiza where he really didn't want to film the video, but then we go and we film the video in the gym, and like he's gone on like a massive like motivational speech at the end of the workout, and it was like just so perfect and so good, and then we'll watch it back, and on my old camera, Canon 1DX, if you filmed in slow motion, which Mike used to like me doing slow motion edits, if you filmed in slow motion, it wouldn't record the audio. So sometimes I'd forget to switch it back from slow motion to normal, and he would just have a slow motion speech with no audio. And then like he still hasn't forgiven me for ones like that. Like he still brings it up, and like just the mic being plugged in is the number one thing that used to mess up, or sometimes mixing the memory cards up and formatting them. And like it's people don't realize the amount of responsibility is a video. They think that you just literally turn up and press record, but getting the settings right, getting the audio right, then coming home, organizing all the files, backing up the files, looking after the files, making sure they don't get lost, making sure they don't get corrupted, making sure your camera stuff doesn't get stolen out of your car. Like, there's so many things that you have to consider that can potentially go wrong.
Bro, is this recording? God is nervous, are you? But yeah, mate, I think that's the thing as well. I think it's a case of like understanding that if you can develop them relationships with people, that's why it's key, because you shouldn't have errors, but you know, it's gonna happen. And if you've got that rapport with someone, you're not gonna lose the contract, the client, etc. So it's understanding, not only are you trying to become a better version of yourself, but a better actual business person as well, and having that relationship. I think, again, it's really important, because again, I think a lot of people who, especially, I know a shitload of people who want to become videographers. I think a lot of people think it's just a cool thing to do, but the slog is there and things can go wrong, but it's how you manage that and how you bounce back, which is unbelievable. You said earlier on, Louis, that this is pretty much like a year to date when you hit rock bottom, and because you've said it's a year to date, obviously that stands out in your mind. I just want to ask you, like, how low did it actually get for you?
It's a good question. I'll give people a little bit of context, because basically I was living in Ibiza for 2 years. My dream was always to buy this certain car and then drive it to Ibiza and like just live there. And the plan was only to do it short term.
If you don't know by now, I run a business called The Content PT. I create content for influencers, PTs, online coaches and fitness brands all around the world. So if you are someone who's in need for sexy content for your social media, or you really want to maintain a competitive edge in your industry, drop me a DM on Instagram.
My dream was to go and live in Ibiza. I'd been a few times with Mike. Mike was the one that got me kind of into Ibiza, because at first I wasn't too keen on it. I didn't think that I would like it, because I didn't like that music and I didn't like those types of people and didn't like the Ibiza party scene. And then I went, changed my mind, I loved it, and then basically once Mike said, "Oh, go and do your own thing," that's when I was like, right, I'll go and live there, because I can do whatever I want now. And my best friend Joel, and my other good friend Jake, we all just moved in. We got the best apartment in Ibiza, penthouse with a rooftop, jacuzzi. We bought these massive club speakers for the rooftop that were played out towards the sea. We didn't have neighbours, could do whatever we wanted. So it was like, and also that was the first time I had ever lived on my own. Like, I had lived with my ex-girlfriend's family or my own family up until then. This was when I was 27, 28. And then I literally just had the best year of my life in Ibiza, made all these amazing connections, met all these amazing people, had the best times ever, had the best parties ever, and it was literally so good. And then decided to stay for a second year, and everyone else left. And then I just decided to stay and just continue that same kind of pattern of partying, throwing parties, and people in Ibiza just go to Ibiza literally for a weekend or for a holiday, and the whole intention is to let off some steam and to get fucked up and let loose. And I didn't really catch on to that until halfway through the second year, and I was like, fuck, like, it's literally impossible to do anything productive here. Like, even if I had an idea of starting a podcast, but everyone was always too hungover, their brain was mush, and like everyone was just coming here, and I realized that there was people coming in and out every single week, and it was texting me, "Hi Louis, I've just arrived, let's go for dinner, let's go to Pasha, let's go to High, I'll buy you tickets, I'll buy you drinks, just come with me, we want you there." And I just used to say yes to everyone and everything. So I made so many amazing friends, and we had so many amazing parties. I'd be like, "Oh, just come around at mine for pre-drinks," and I just did that continuously. But like just waking up every single day, hungover, making just such average YouTube videos that had no context, no thought behind them. And then eventually, what I realized was everything was so intense that I never ever got a second to sit down and think about my life, to reflect, or like that's why I'm such a big fan of journaling now, like in the morning and before I go to bed, so I can actually think about what I've done that day, what I've worked towards, what are my goals. And to be fair, it was just every day continuous, wake up, get drunk, go to a party, and repeat. And like eventually, well, my current girlfriend Cindy was like, "This isn't good for us, like we're getting drunk every day, we normally end up having an argument about something stupid, like just a drunken argument every single day. We need to get out of here, we need to change the environment." And I think that's the most important thing for anyone who's stuck in a bad rut or in a bad way, or they're at breaking point, or they're about to hit rock bottom. Number one thing you need to change, especially if you've got bad habits, if you're drinking beers every day, or people who are taking drugs every day, that you need to change the environment. That's the number one thing. If I had continued living in Ibiza, I would never have got out of that cycle, because I used to have the same habit of waking up hungover, go downstairs to the bar under my house, and they would just bring me a beer without me even asking, and that would take my hangover away, take the anxiety away, and then I would just be happy again, and just I'll worry about all my problems tomorrow. And I just kept pushing everything. I'll sort it out tomorrow. And everything just built up. And then luckily Cindy was like, "Let's get out of here and go to Madrid." And I really didn't want to do that. And then we did. And then I went sober for a month until Christmas. And my whole life changed in a month. And I was like, what the fuck? This is literally like mad. I've got so much clarity. I've got all these amazing ideas. My body's changing. I used to think that I looked good in Ibiza, and then compared to how I look, what shape I got into this year. And then I drank again at Christmas, and I just didn't feel good about drinking again. It was just like, I just didn't feel good drinking. And then I went on to do, from like the first week in January, I started just going sober, and I did like 200 days sober, just over 6 months sober. And every single day I just noticed progress. Like I did a marathon in Barcelona, the Creator Club was born, my YouTube channel grew, my Instagram grew, and I was getting all these messages from people being like, "Louis, what the fuck?" Like, I never thought that when I was living this old life in Ibiza, people were messaging me every day being like, "Bro, you need to get out there, like, you're fucking up your life, like, you need to, like, I'm sick of watching this content, I'm unfollowing, I'm unsubscribing." And I used to just basically tell them all to fuck off and be like, "Mind your own business, I'll do whatever I want." That's how I was, that's the mindset I was in. And I was like, "Yous are just jealous that I get to do this every day." And like I said before earlier in this conversation, like I was numb to going on yachts and going to the nice restaurants and going to the parties and going to the VIP and going to the backstage. It didn't bother me anymore. It wasn't making me happy. It wasn't making me excited. It was just like, this is just another day. And now when I'm working my ass off for 6-7 months with no alcohol, training every day in the gym, now when I go to Ibiza and I have a little bit of a blowout, I have the best times of my life again, like how it used to be. More. But for me, the 200 days sober just completely changed my life in every single way. Like, people don't even understand it. It hasn't even been a year that changed my life. It was literally 6 months, and I went from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high. And when you say how did it feel, it was just like calling my mum and dad every single Sunday, telling them about another problem, like something that had gone wrong. Like I even jumped off my balcony and broke my foot, broke my heel, losing stuff, losing my phone, losing my watch, just doing something fucking stupid every single week and having to call my mum and dad, and my mum would answer the phone and be like, "Oh, what's happened this week?" And like, imagine how much that must have been like hurting them and affecting them, for me to pick up the phone and tell them that. And even my grandma, I used to call my grandma. I'd call her like once a month because I would always just have nothing good to tell her. Like nothing, I wasn't getting any good news. I wasn't getting any new brand deals. I wasn't getting any new sponsors. Nothing good was happening. Nothing was progressing. And then
Were you financially sort of fucking yourself as well?
Yeah, with my American Express.
Were you? So I was going to say, like...
When I jumped, no, I haven't really told many people this, but when I jumped off my balcony and I broke my heel, obviously my work was making YouTube videos, and also I was still getting like jobs to do videography in Ibiza, like help people make videos in Ibiza, and I had clients in Ibiza. And when I jumped off the balcony and broke my foot, I couldn't work anymore. I had 2 crutches for 3 months, and I was so close that I almost had to get surgery in my heel. And they're like, you're never going to be able to run again, never going to be able to ski again. And I was like, fuck, I've really fucked it there. And then I couldn't do anything. So I did what everyone least expected, which was I just went and partied even more with a broken foot, with fucking crutches, and I'd be falling on the floor. I just got more fucked up because there was nothing else I could do. I couldn't go to the gym, I couldn't run, I couldn't improve my life, I couldn't make videos. So I ended up just falling deeper into the trap. And then I was like, I can't make any money. So I was like, the only way I can pay my rent and stuff is get a credit card. And like...
Was it that bad? So you literally needed a credit card to pay?
Yeah, like most of my brand deals, some of them I was still getting some brand deals, but I couldn't get the other ones because the content, I can't make content in a cast, sat in a wheelchair or on crutches.
True. Did you never think about coming home? Just like fucking it all off, like, and just coming home?
No.
That's
probably what I should have done. And again, I'm grateful to my mum and dad because, bro, like, I don't regret any of this. This all had to happen for me to hit the bottom and to come back. And like, even Mike, my best friend, told me like, I wanted to help you and I wanted to tell you to get out there, but I just knew that you have to make that decision yourself. And like, I would never, like, right now I'm honestly the happiest I've ever been in my life. Like, everything is going really well, and I couldn't be more grateful. And sometimes I have to pinch myself and ask myself, is this real? But again, it all happened because I fucked up my life that much.
And you've got to remember as well, because I remember when you were going through all of that stuff and sort of seeing how kind of transparent you were on social media, which I think, again, the reason why you did the 200 Days Sober, the Creator Club, the runs, people literally saw the flip. So it's almost like and I know you didn't intentionally do it, but it's like you've created a buy-in. Like, fucking hell, if this guy can go... Mate, I'm going to be honest, I thought you were an alcoholic. Do you know that? No, genuinely.
I think I probably was an alcoholic.
Do you think you were?
Yeah.
Because I remember... I might as well tell the story, but I remember when me and our lass came out to meet you and Cindy in a club in Ibiza, and anyway, for whatever reason, I couldn't get into the club. So, but again, the reason I'm telling this story is because, again, this is persistence, right? So, I'm trying to get in this club to meet Louis for the viewers here, and I get to the door, and anyway, we've got to this club, gets to the door, queued up for a while, and the DJ was like, "Oh, I can get you in, just all the rest of it." I was like, right. It was Nico, DeAndre, and I thought it's going to be a 6 set. Obviously, you were down there. You were like, come down. So I went down, and I'm getting to the door. They were like, sorry, no shorts. And I was like, fuck, I get into every club with shorts on. I was like, I kind of get it. I'm in Ibiza. It was a Leo's as well, and that's obviously a bit more upmarket, if you like. And they're like, you need pants? I was like, I ain't got any pants. So I remember... our lass was like, we're going to have to just leave it. I was like, I need to get in this club. I've got to get in. But you know when the drink gets hold of you and you're like, no, I want a party. Like, I'm in this. So I remember asking a random guy if I could buy his trousers to get in the club. And he was like, yeah, you can have them, mate. They're going to be 200 quid. That sounds mad. But I remember seeing you when I was in there. Basically, I didn't buy the guys' pants. I bought them on the door. They actually sold them at the club. Got in. And obviously saw you. And it was only very brief when I saw you. And we left shortly after that. Had way too much to drink, left, went home. And even after that, I remember saying to our lass, I was like, how the hell does he afford to live like this? Because mate, I think we were only there about 4 days that time, and we'd spent a lot of money. And I never spent that kind of money in 4 days of my life. So I was like, and he lives there, and he's paying probably about 4k a month for an apartment, and he's doing it. And I get it, you were in a better financial position than what I was, but you would, even if you were making 10 grand a month, your outgoings have got to be more than that. I know living out, a wrap and chips from the cafe we talked about, we were paying like 50 quid in that for two. I was like, 50 quid for your lunch every day, plus your evening meal, a bit of breakfast, whether you're training in a gym, like all these things, never mind the alcohol. Do you know what I mean? Going to hire beef is expensive enough, never mind doing that on a night, every night.
That was also, obviously I got myself into some debt, which, thank God, I'm out now. Mm-hmm. But, especially with the broken foot, got myself, like, and also I had never had a credit card before. And like, you're not even taught this stuff at school. Like, I'll just be honest, because I think my honesty helps people. Like, I'm out of that situation now. I made a mistake. I learnt my lesson. Had to pay at American Express a lot of interest on my credit card, but no one ever even taught me. No one teaches you any of this shit. Like, I got my American Express and they give me like 25 grand, like, to spend. And I was like, fuck, that's literally unreal. like an absolute idiot that I am. And
But you had to do it though, didn't you?
And then I was just like, fuck it, let's just have some fun. And then I did. But also, when I was going out, this is another thing. This was a good thing and a bad thing, is that most people, like, I was in Ibiza 2 weeks ago, and I literally put a video on my YouTube channel how much you spent in a weekend, and I did a budget trip. I didn't go to the fancy restaurants. I didn't go on yachts. Didn't do any of that stuff. But the benefit and a negative is when you're in that scene, that party scene, I started to know all the DJs. I was in the DJ booth. I didn't have to pay for my tickets in. Like, a tickets in for me and Cindy at the weekend, €200 each, 2 nights in a row for High and Pasha. That's €500 nearly. Like, and then I just got to know everyone. So I was always in free. Didn't have to queue at the door. All my drinks were free, and that was pretty much the best for some people, and for me in the beginning it was the best feeling in the world. Like, this is absolutely unreal. I don't have to pay €25 for a Heineken. I don't have to pay €40 for a vodka Red Bull. I don't have to pay €100 in the door. I can just come in and I'm friends with the DJs, and they treat me so well, and like, it was good. It was so good for a while, but again, just being able to do that, being able to just so easily walk in and not have to pay and have those free drinks means, like, of course I'm going to do it every night. Like, people save up all year to come to Ibiza for a week and get to do this, and I get to do it every night for free. So, like, it was good. There was like, I'll be honest, I made the best memories of my life in Ibiza, 100%. The best memories I've ever had in my life. And even 2 weeks ago when I went with Cindy, we booked 3 hours before the plane took off. And I was like, we need to go black coffee. And by the way, my dad was a DJ. I love music. I love DJs. And like, for me, it was not just about the parties. I love music. I love when you go to Ibiza, you hear the new music from the DJs. So that was another big thing. And like, last weekend, me and Cindy just booked to go, and we went with 3 hours notice. And it was so spontaneous. All my friends that have lived there all came out to meet us. They taxied us around. We went for lunch, and we had, me and Cindy, 2 days in and out. Probably the best weekend that I've had yet, because it was so spontaneous, and it was in, out, and then straight back to work.
See, do you ever get the itch now, like, to go? I don't mean back to that, because you kind of know what you've created, and it's took you being sober and kind of flip your life around to inspire people to get the buy-in, and then you build something great. Like, do you ever get the itch now? Would you be like, do you know what? I'm just gonna go out.
Nah, thank God, it's gone.
Do you not?
I get the itch to go, like, when I had the itch there to go to Ibiza. And the thing is, I don't want to sound like a dick here, but I became a bit of a snob for parties, like, because Ibiza is the best place in the world to party, and it's not just the DJs, it's the setup, it's the people, it's everything, it's the vibe. And anyone who's been to Ibiza knows that feeling when you land in Ibiza. It's a different place. So I would never go, like, I'm not being a snob either, but I wouldn't go for a night out in Newcastle probably anymore. Like, I wouldn't even go out for a night out in the UK.
To be fair, mate, when we went for dinner the other night, I thought we were going to end up out. I thought we'd go out the rest of the thought, where are we going here?
Nah, so whenever I got it all out of my system, and again, this is the thing, most people get out of their system when they're at uni, when they're 17, 18, 19, and I didn't really party. Like, same as you, I lived with my mum and dad during uni, so I didn't have that kind of whole experience of being free and young, and I just delayed it till I was like 27, 28, when I had made a little bit of money, and I was actually free. So I got it out of my system. Now I don't have any of that temptation at all. But if I like, now I'm doing 75 hard, 10 days in, so 75 days sober, 2 workouts a day, 10 pages of reading, no cheat meals, and one gallon of water or something. So now I just set myself little challenges so I stay on track. And then at the end, like I said before, after pain and struggle and consistency and short-term sacrifices, I can go and do whatever I want at the end of these 75 days and have a nice time.
And I think you've built up the trust as well. Like, I know you'll complete that. You know what I mean? Because you build up that trust, and again, what's that doing to people who are watching you on Instagram? Like, they probably want to start up stuff as well. So again, it's also a content idea for someone.
Exactly.
So the challenge is 75 hard. My first ever 75 hard, bang, follow along every day, give someone a buy-in,
exactly.
a reason to
and
follow
tell us about your experience doing it. Like, what's been the hardest part? Because literally yesterday I went to bed at 8 o'clock for the first time ever in my life because I'm exhausted. Like it's really, really intense. And like, that's what you do. Try these things and talk to people about it.
The Creator Club, Louis, do you think this is the thing that will set you up for your future?
Yeah, I think so. And I honestly didn't know what that ever was. I didn't have a plan. And like Cindy, my current girlfriend, didn't like that I didn't have some form of structure or security or like safety net, I guess. Because like, this is the thing with YouTube and Instagram, it could just be deleted, like, or my brand deals like could just be took away from me at any day. But with the Creator Club, what we're building is something that's genuine and real. Like, it's literally insane. I was saying to you the other night that if my teachers from school who thought I was an idiot saw what I'm doing now, I've basically got 120 students that I'm trying to help. And again, this is the thing that I'm very lucky, is that I'm exactly like my mum. I'm very, very compassionate and caring, and I have a lot of empathy. And like, sometimes it can be a gift and a curse, because I really care about people. Like, I really care about how they feel and what they do, and I want to make sure people get the best that they possibly can. So it can be quite hard on me when people are messaging me one-to-one and I'm trying to give them advice and help. It can be quite intense because I'm thinking about them, or I can't sleep because I'm thinking about someone's situation and I wish that I could do more to help them or whatever it is. But like, I guess I think it's like the potential for this is absolutely unlimited. And like, I've brought on 3 boys already to help me with this. So I've got Joel, who does the whole back end, the website, the memberships, all of that stuff. I've got Josh, he's an accountant, he does all the numbers, he does the trips. And then I've got Kane, who is basically generating new ideas for what we can do. And like, the thing is with the community is we just did a survey last week and everyone gives me feedback. So like, I'm still learning as we go on, and I just keep asking for feedback every month of what people want more of, what they want less of. So the potential is unbelievable, and the amount of messages that I've had from people saying this is the best thing that I've ever done in my life was joining this, and I'm literally so shocked that I've met so many like-minded people who are all enthusiastic, who are so supportive, who are all killing it, like, and just reading their messages, like, I feel like this is just my purpose, like my thing, and I feel so lucky that I found it now. And I didn't really go out of my way to try and find it. I didn't force anything. This has just naturally happened after 6 or 7 years of making content, and I guess just being open to seeing what happens.
And I mean, look, I'll say a few words on the Creator Club, because obviously I'm part of it, and for any of my listeners or viewers, like, you know, this club is something that anyone can really be a part of, like, regardless, because I know you said about, you know, beginner creators and stuff like that. Like, I'm someone who's been on this journey for 16 years, and I get a lot of value from it. Even if it is just, look, there's a bunch of lads all getting after it, all exploring ideas. It's just like, there may be one bit, like I said to you the other day, like, a lot of that, I'm in that for the crack. Like, so I come off that feeling energized. I'm like, right, I'm going to smash it now.
Same as me.
Like, it's weird because, like, and don't get me wrong, if there's tips along the way, I'll take it. But like, I didn't join the Creator Club, like, right, I need ideas. Like, I've never struggled for motivation for ideas and stuff. But there's certain things where I'd be like, Adzo, what about this? And I'm like, oh, shit. Or even like what you said to us, you were like, you're already doing it, so just keep doing that then. Even that, to know that someone at a position better than you in life is telling you that is fucking brilliant. And I'm always going to take value from that. So again, there is people like that out there. There's clubs like out there, but find a tribe. Do you get what I'm saying? So yeah. Again, whether it is the Creator Club or another, it doesn't really matter. But because I'm part of that, and I can only speak for that one, but I've been part of different mentorships before, and I feel like it's not just the business/content. We were talking about relationships the other night. Do you know what I mean? So there's a whole wealth of kind of areas you can improve your life. But overall, I think it's just self-development, self-improvement, self-belief.
And also another thing is, as well, is you're 34, I'm 31. Like, I think this is another thing that's got so important is, again, I don't know if I would be able to teach people what I'm teaching if I hadn't have made all these mistakes throughout my life, and if I hadn't have just took on these challenges and said yes to things that I was maybe not even qualified to do. Like, everything has been a learning experience, and now that I'm 31, I'm getting on, I'm a little bit older, but I'm still not in a rush to do anything. Now I've kind of got the authority and the experience to help the people who are younger than me. And I think there's so many young people now who are like 19, 20, 21, trying to be mentors, trying to teach people, trying to build these communities and give people all this like advice, but they actually haven't even lived yet. So that's like, a lot of people are watching this. If they're in the online space, they might be like, oh, it's another community. But there's so many communities now that are just complete bullshit. And like, anyone that joins the Creator Club, immediately when they get welcomed by everyone in the group, they're like, fuck, I'm in all these other communities on Telegram, on Reddit, or whatever it might be, on school, and I've joined yours, and I'm like, what the fuck? I've never been in one like this.
I think that's the thing, mate. Like, you're right. It's like a kind of, I can't remember the word for it, but it's like, because you've got the life experience, you're now credible to see it. But at the same time, it's weird because your life is so, it's like the ideal life when you're a young lad looking at someone like yourself, because you're like, well, even if I don't do it in my 20s, Louis is doing it in his 30s.
Exactly.
The one thing I want to ask you is, do you want kids? Do you want, like, are you looking at that, or are you still happy to kind of keep doing this, building your thing? Because there's no pressure for a man. Obviously, you've got a missus, you live around the world. I don't know what it's like for you, so a personal question, like, what do you want for your future?
It's a good question. Well, Cindy doesn't want kids for another 2 or 3 years, she says.
Right, okay.
I can't have kids without Cindy. So, true. But then I look at Mike, who's, I think, 34, 35 as well, and he's not interested for another 2 or 3 years. And then I've got Matt Does Fitness, who's also another one of my best friends and biggest role models, and he's got 2 kids. And like Luca is already looking jacked, like he's so intelligent, he's good at swimming. And Matt still gets to have all the fun and all the success and do the YouTube channel. And like, you look at Mike and Matt, and in some ways they're both so similar, but in every other way they're completely different, completely different ends of the spectrum. Like Matt with his family, 2 kids in his house in the UK, and Mike still traveling the world, being a bachelor. Like, it's 2 completely different lives, but they're both so similar that they're in fitness, they're in YouTube, they're both really good friends. So I look at both of them, and like, again, I always look at people for how their lives are, if they're happy, how are they living. And for me, I'm not in a rush. I'd rather keep, for me, I love to just be able to, as I said, like, get up and go to Ibiza, or literally go to Bali next week. I literally booked my flights yesterday, and for now I like that freedom. And I would like to, and also another thing is, I don't know where I want to settle down. Like, I don't know where I want to live. So I can't really have kids until I know that I want to live in this one place for a certain period of time.
Do you think it would ever be the UK?
No.
No, so it's definitely a nice warm country somewhere.
It's probably most likely going to be Spain, where I'd raise my kids. But I don't know where yet. I love Mallorca. I love Ibiza, but I don't trust myself in Ibiza.
Louis, I've got one final question for you, mate. I'd love to keep you here all day, because this, like, I've loved it so much. It's packed full of value as well. But from me to you, mate, are you happy?
Yeah, I would say happiest that I've ever been in my life. But I also heard Jordan Peterson saying, do you know who Jordan Peterson is?
Yeah.
Heard him saying that you shouldn't chase happiness. You should chase your purpose. I think. Don't quote me exactly on that. But if you can, when you finish listening to this, when you've hit like, when you've hit subscribe, type it in, Jordan Peterson, chasing happiness, because I heard a quote saying that you shouldn't chase happiness, because that's not how you find happiness. And I think for me, like, again, I just want to end this, and thank you for having me so much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it, bro. This has been a long time coming, and I'm sure we'll do another one soon. But I think for me, what has really, really changed my life was just that 6 months sober. And this is what I keep saying to so many people is, like, so many people just drink because they're bored and they don't know what they're doing, and like, they go out every weekend, but they don't realize how much that's holding them back. And they could be using that spare time and that money that they're spending on drink to build a new hobby, to get passionate about something, to buy new running shoes, to buy a new bike so they can go out cycling. Like, I think you need to just do the hard shit, which is not like, I'm going to have to go for a walk later on tonight, and I walk through Whitley Bay on my 45-minute outdoor workout. I'll build it up to running eventually, and I look in the window and everyone's sitting inside just in a nice warm pub having a pint, eating a bag of crisps, And like, again, not to judge those people, I'll be doing that at Christmas 100%. But for now, up until Christmas, I'm choosing the hard route, which is to either go for a walk or a run at night and it's freezing cold, and I'm choosing to do the thing that I really don't want to do. And in the end, like I said before, short-term sacrifices for long-term rewards, and that's what it's about. So I think be patient, and if you can, I know people say winter arc and get locked in, but if you can do it for 6 months and do 6 months sober, guarantee your life will change in every single way.
Absolutely love that, bro. I just want to ask you, just to finish up with this, is there anything you've got, young lad, young lass, whatever, or someone, I mean, they could be old, but they're looking at someone like yourself, you're like, I want a bit of that life. What can they do immediately to start taking steps towards their future?
I would say the number one thing that you need to do before you do anything else is you need to build your self-confidence. And I think the best way to build self-confidence is, there's a few different ways, but this is what I noticed over those 6 months when I started incorporating all those things. Number one is work out. So I believe that every single person should be exercising in some way, whether it's, even if it's just an hour walk, doing your 10K steps, whatever it is. As soon as you start going to the gym, as soon as you start running, your body starts to change. Or as soon as you start running and you've been doing it for 6 months and you find it easy to run 5K. At first you couldn't run 5K. That gives you confidence. Looking in the mirror at the gym and seeing your body changing, that gives you confidence. And in order to start something worthwhile, you need confidence. That's the number one thing that so many people lack. So I think following a good diet, doing some form of exercise, I think reading books, I think so many people take this for granted, and there's a book that I recommend everyone buy, and it's called, what's it called? Just because this is good. I think this book changed my life more than anything. There we go. The Wealth Money Can't Buy by Robin Sharma. He's also got another book called The 5 a.m. Club. But this book will literally change your life, open your mind. So you need to build confidence, because you can't do anything unless you're confident. If you post a video online or you're trying to do anything, you're going to be constantly watching over your shoulder thinking, oh, someone's judging me. Maybe I didn't do a good job of that. Maybe I'm going to delete that. Maybe that's not good enough. And once you've got that confidence, you get confidence by doing hard things. So like I said, working out, changing your body, eating healthy, reading books. You get so much knowledge from reading a book or listening to a podcast. Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom, all them podcasts, they'll help you so much. And then it's just about getting started, and you'll learn as you go. But the number one thing is confidence. That's what everyone seems to struggle with, and worrying about what people think. And that's why, again, if you get out of the UK, go somewhere, go to a different country where they don't speak English, you can go about doing your thing. Especially if it's creating content, talking to the camera, no one bats an eyelid, no one even looks at you. I feel more uncomfortable here getting my camera out to take a little video of myself. In fact, I haven't even done it when I've been here, because I'm so much more self-conscious in the UK. As opposed to Spain, I could walk around like that all day just taking videos of myself.
And that's crazy, because that's coming from you.
Yeah.
As well.
So you need to take care of your body, take care of your mental health, take care of your body. Gain some confidence, even journaling as well. I do that every morning, write down 3 things that I'm grateful for every single day. And you'll realize that most likely, if you've got 3 things to be grateful for, you can be happy.
I need to ask you one more. I'm sorry, bro. I know the editor's fuming here, but I do need to ask you one more. What is one hard conversation that you know you should have and you haven't had it yet?
That's a good question. There's loads of hard conversations. I think hard conversations is one of the worst things ever.
Is there anything that you know that needs addressing and you haven't done it?
No, but I think I've had some recent hard conversations that needed to happen that I was putting off for a while. I think I've had some recently. I don't know, I would say probably with maybe family members, I would say there's probably some hard conversations. With Cindy, my girlfriend, the relationship, I think all relationships constantly need work and attention. So I think you should always probably be trying to have those hard conversations in your relationships, because that's the only way you can progress. And I think that just being open and honest with everyone, again, it's just sometimes hard, like with family members especially, I would say it's hard to have the hard conversations. But I would say I don't have any hard conversations right now, because I think I've done them all very recently. And there's been so many hard ones that I've had recently that have just been about stuff that's just been built up, or that I haven't been honest about, or that. Yeah, I think I'm quite lucky that they're all out of the way. I honestly can't think of any now. Can you give an example of one that you've had to have?
Oh, flipping on me, switcheroo. Oh, mate, I've had a few. I've had a few in my life. Certain conversation. I mean, I've had very hard conversations with clients where I've lost a lot of money because I know that what I believed in wasn't right. Again, it's very hard to answer the question on myself when I'm talking about the client as an example, but there was a thing that the client was promoting which didn't morally sit well with me. So I had to make a decision. Do I keep this client for the sake of 650 quid a month? I'll tell you the price, that's what it was. Bearing in mind I've got a mortgage and kids. Or do I sack this off for me morals? And I sacked it off, but that was very hard to do. Because it was one of them that I could have easily just got around, turned a blind eye. But I couldn't, and I had to do the right thing. So as much as it was hard, yeah, that was horrible because we kind of ended speaking to each other as well.
I think there's a lot of hard. I think if that's a really good question, because I think for most people there's a lot of hard conversations that they need to have.
And I think that they need to have them as well.
Yeah, they do.
Because you can't get to a position like yourself. You can't. I know, and whether you've aired them or not on podcasts or with me or whatever, I know you'll have had conversations with your partner, with your mum and dad at somewhere where you fuck someone off, but you've had to do it because you can't turn that page until that conversation's had, or you'll just go through that treadmill, that bullshit again and again and again.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? So
it's a good question though. It's got me
Louis
thinking
Armstrong,
now.
thank you so much, bro.
Thank you.
Thank
it's
you,
been a
mate.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you, mate.
So you've made it to the end of the episode. Fair play. If you want to watch more episodes like this, click here.